Hey kids, Mr. Glenn here. Hope you are well. What we're going to learn to do now is some advanced Inkscape and TinkerCAD work. What we want to do is learn how to create like a double curving custom shape. Because what I want is this item here to be on my nose cone of my ship over here, or my vehicle. But the problem is that we can use TinkerCAD with maybe a torus like this, but the curves don't really sort of help us because you'd have to hollow this out and you need to carve and constantly carve pieces out of this to make it fit this nose cone here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the shapes from here, and we're going to create a cookie cutter, and then we're going to turn this into a hole, and then we can cut away the curved pieces from the edges here. And we can start to sort of play around with this, and we can start to move this around. You can see how using this cookie cutter, we can actually sort of really start to sort of customize the shape quite a lot. But we have to make this shape, and we have to make this kind of bent shape here. What we're going to do after that then is use a separate piece here, and then use this actual shape to start to add detail into this, because we always want a piece of detail. Let's get rid of this this area here, and then we can start to take slices out of this like so. And then we can apply those pieces to this custom shape. Let's just go and group these together, give it an idea of what we're talking about. And then we can put details onto this shape by joining them together like this. And then we can just go and make one, and we can duplicate it and put it onto our nose cone here. Okay, so that's essentially what we're aiming to do in a second. So I'll leave that one there. And what we're going to do is go and use Inkscape. Now, Inkscape will be relatively new to most of you, but I may need to go and turn my face off in a second, because I just realized you can't see the folder underneath. But it's okay, we'll see what we can use. So when we come into Inkscape, we end up with a blank page, and then we're going to use only two tools. There's only two things. We're going to use the select tool, which is over at the top, and that lets us pick things up and move things around, and it also lets us select it and delete it if we hit the delete key. We can undo just like this, and then we use this shape here to create the other two sides here, so we have a nice fit, and then we draw two lines, and that's pretty much it. And we draw that with this tool here, which is called the pen tool, or the Bezier tool. So things are pretty simple in Inkscape. It's just, it looks really busy, but we're not going to be using any of this. On this side, you have a document panel. So it's just above where my head is. So I can actually turn my head off if I do that. I'm just going to turn this for a second off. So here, where my head was, you can actually see that I have this button that says export, and then I can just go and put this using this folder here, and we can export it and put it on my desktop. So how do we do that? Well, I'm going to go and delete these in here. We go to Inkscape. I'm just going to drag all over these completely. There we go. So we go to Inkscape, and then we open it up from our launchpad, and we can just go into Inkscape and open it up. And when we do that, it'll say, do you want a new document? We say, yes, please. And then you're straight in. You won't have this export window. Instead, you'll have this thing called fill and stroke on this side over here, or something like it. If you don't see fill and stroke, you can go to, you can go to window, and it'll say, what do you want to do? You'll say view, and you can say show and hide, and you'll have these things on the side. I think if you don't, you can always expand it. You can look, you can see, you can always pick it up, and if it's just not there, you've got your little bubbles, and you can pull it out anyway. Okay, so let's go and draw. So let's go and get a pen. And then when we move around, so to zoom in and out, we hold down Control on the keyboard. You can see Control in the corner, and then you can just go and draw. So I'm going to go and draw a straight line. Now, when you click and you start to drag, you'll notice that it's all a bit sort of crazy, and you try and do things, and it's like, oh no, this is so strange. But if you hit Escape, it all just disappears. And if you just click and you hold down Control, you'll notice that when I can do like a swing like this, when it just freely moves, the line sort of swings about. But if I hold down Control, it doesn't. It behaves like TinkerCAD, and it snaps to a vertical line. So I want this, and then I click and I drag, and when I drag, I get these bars that say how bendy do you want the line to be. And we say, that bendy please, and then we can just go and right click, and it gets rid of that line and puts a stroke in for us, and that is called a stroke. So that stroke, remember, if this thing has disappeared, you should be able to just pull that out. That stroke is in here, so you'll see this symbol here with the pen and fill and stroke, and it's got like a box around it. You can go to stroke style, and then I've got it set to 5mm. Yours may be on 1, like this, but that's okay. You just go into it and type 5 and enter, and it would do that. Then I said the second tool that we're going to use is a select tool, and it just puts some arrows around it. We can simply copy and paste now, Control C, Command C, Command V, and pick it up. And then I can Command V again, and it gives me another one. It gives me the other side. And then what I can do is I can click on this, and you can see that whoops, if I go to my select tool, there we go. And I can click, and I can click, and you can see that I've got different arrows around it. Click, and this one lets me turn it around. He says, there we go, that's more like it. Right, that should be all right. I think it should be pretty much okay. Click, and I can move it around. And then that's my cookie cutter. Get my pen tool, go and tidy off those lines. Right click to get rid of this, and then click, click, and then right click to get rid of this. Puts my line in. I might just go and tidy up that one there. There we go. Now let's go and import this now, and let's go and change this. I want this to be my curve, so I need to go and turn my face off now. Let's go and turn my face off. So when I'm in here now, what I'm going to do is go to export, and at the top there is a folder, a little folder with a green line that's pointing away, and it brings up my export window like this, drops it up. Remember, if that's not there, you can move it around. And I've got some options. So what I want is the selection. I don't want the whole page because that's just too complicated. I just want the selection, which is that. And it says, where would you like to put it? This button down here says, where would you like to put it? And I want to go and put it on my desktop. And I'm going to call this, what shall I call this? Curve. There we go. Save. Done. And then export. And it'll save it onto my desktop. Done. Bosh. Next, I can go and select over everything here because I want to make a selection. It says, do you want the selection? Say yes, please. Where would you like to put it? And we're going to call this cookie cutter on my desktop. Cookie cutter, done. I may already have one, and that's fine. Let's go save, done. Now, it's time to go into TinkerCAD and bring those things in. Go to import, select choose file, go to my desktop, and then I'm going to get the curve first. Now, did I not change the SVG? Let's go and change the SVG. I didn't change the SVG. Oh, how rude. I've got to put this into an SVG. I must remember to put this as an SVG, plain SVG. Go make sure that this is in my desktop. Yep. And save over it. Yes, please. And then I just want the selection. And then change this to SVG. Make sure that this is saved as curve on my desktop. Save. and then export. Yes, replace that. And then I'm going to change this cookie cutter and make sure that this cookie cutter is saved properly as an SVG. Desktop cookie cutter as an SVG. Save over it. Does it say? No, that's fine. Export. Save over it. Yes, please. Right. Let's go into TinkerCAD now, and let's go and turn my face on. There we go. Right. Right. Let's choose a file because I need to go to import, choose a file, and I'll go and get the curve first, which is SVG, curve SVG. Upload that. And I want that artboard. Yes, please. And then you get an option to make it smooth if you want to make it smooth. There we are. That's what we want. But don't worry, we can just go and make this smooth. So click on the shape, quality, nice and smooth. And then we can duplicate this, turn this into a hole. That is going to be a beautiful curve. Group them together. Done. Make it a bit wider. Stand it up. And then we can rearrange that however I want. And then what I need to do is I want to go and take those corners away. So this is going to be a little bit trickier, and that's fine. And then go and import again. Import, choose file. And then, was it Kershi? Cookie cutter, wasn't it? Go and cookie cutter. That's going to bring the artboard in. Now, I did this before. Now, you shouldn't worry about this too much because we're going to turn it into a hole anyway. So let's go and... Okay, you don't need to worry too much about this because it happened before that it didn't bring the entire shape in, which is absolutely fine because you're going to turn it into a hole anyway. And it's what we want is we want that curve there to be the cookie cutter. So we just go and turn this all into a hole, group them all together like this, group those holes together like this, group them, done. They become a hole. And then what we do is we make the hole into an actual block itself, like this. There we go. Group them, and that'll put the hole in like that. And then that cookie cutter there is these pieces here, these edges are going to take off the edge of that. D to drop that. There we go. And then that piece there is going to take away those edges there because that is going to take away the edge out of that. And there you have your beginning to your edge being cut away. And sometimes, this is what I quite like, is you get this kind of ridge that appears